壁に何かあるのですか?
Ah, Mama's smart.
たぶん壁よ。
あの絵の女性は本当に
Goosebumps. The late emperor having an actual physical trauma response. That is a common response and common trauma response of a victim of a sexual abuse. So, oh shit, dude. Hello, friends. My name is Benoit Kim, a licensed psychotherapist and your favorite yapper. Welcome back. The show is getting better and better, and how is this possible? Assassination Zero, Samsonian Helixy, Jun Ichimaru, and Roxy Love are the founding sponsors here of my videos. Thank you so much. Shout out to all the Patreon family members and YouTube members and family, every single one of you guys. Thank you so much. Sit back and hope you enjoy. And also today I opened the cage for my studio, so we will see if my feline overlords, King and Dutch, shall bless us and grace us with their presence today. And hopefully they don't mess up any of the cables during recording. So yeah, we'll see if I'll have to get up. All right.
もうすぐあの胸は取り壊されます。
それまでに調べていただきたいのです。アイス様のおっしゃる呪い。つまり、先帝のご遺体が生前と変わらぬままだった。そう言いよう。
So looks like Mama was led by the seemingly head lady in waiting by the Empress Ainshi from that old, not abandoned, but no longer in usage of a place. And she was tasked with this unique, one-of-a-kind mission. Was it a curse? Or was it something deeper, scheming by the late Empress, based on my speculation? But it's interesting, even that location, Mama was able to look out and see where all the 4 upper first rank concubines are at with the Empress. Very interesting. Again, this is information asymmetry. Mama can see where everyone else is, but everyone else doesn't know that Mama is looking at them from this place. Again, where the late emperor passed away and where the late empress daughter also passed away. Very interesting. 6 years.
思い出させるものは保証くらいか。謎がそのままになれば、アンシ様の気持ちも晴れないだろう。
What Mama was saying is, if the mystery remains unresolved, Empress Ainshi will never feel better. The underlying sentiment is emotional closure, or rather, lack of emotional closure. Emotional closure is so important. I talked a lot about in terms of breakup in the perils of the modern dating context, but here, it's much deeper. Imagine you feeling for 6 years that you murdered the late emperor, aka your former husband. Regardless of the political arrangement or not, that's not the point. The point is legally, you feel like you've harbored and you've upheld this burden, this guilt, this shame, the fear of, did I murder my former husband, who happens to be the ruler with this curse? That is the emotional closure. This is not just to find peace for the past deceased late emperor, rest in peace for him, right? But also for Ainshi. She needs peace. And living with that dissonance, living with that fear, this disconnection, living with this, oh my gosh, was this me? Did I do that? Living with that for 6 years and more, once this building is torn down, that is tremendous burden emotionally and psychologically. And another concept is called transitory object. I talked a lot about that in Violet Evergarden series. If you haven't checked that out, it's right here, because that was more relatable to, or more specific to grieving. And transitory object is a concept in grieving and grief counseling that you have an object to memorialize the person who passed away. Transitory, because they transitions. Object, to remember the transition, transitory object. This building also acts as a transitory object for Lady Ainshi. But once this building is gone, so will the transitory object in itself. That's why Ainshi needs to solve this mystery through Mama's brilliance and deduction and investigation. Very excited for this episode.
ありました。ただし、一つお願いがあります。お願い？先帝が住まわれていたという、先ほどの部屋に入る。
Nice. Get close.
お許しをいただきます。
Also, Mama's audacity to make a request to the head lady in waiting of the Empress. Sure, they're asking her for a favor, but not really. Remember what I talked about. Think about the political and historical and cultural context. Upper rank people, when they talk to lower, like servants or ladies in waiting, it's never a favor. It's straight up a command. It's not even a request. Request implies the other other party, the recipient of that request, has the option to say no. That's a request. A demand or a command, on the other hand, means you have to do it. It's my way or the highway, full stop. So this is never a request. This is never an equal standing in terms of the leverage. You know what I mean? But even despite everything what I said, Mama still makes a request. That is her confidence. And for her, as soon as there's a mission, there's a goal. Mama was so goal-oriented that power dynamics, all the consequences, what if my request make a backlash? What if the head lady in waiting slaps me because I stepped out of bounds, stepped out of my place? But she has the right to. All that goes out the window. She enters tunnel vision once again. All she cares about is solving the mystery, finding peace for the late emperor, and most importantly, Lady Anxi. That is who Mama is. Extremely goal-oriented. Respect.
帝の許しを得てという話だが、皇太后様が間に入れば問題はないはず。
So episode 33, the late emperor, makes sense. This episode is about the late emperor with that mystery and the request of the curse. 第33话, 先帝. 先 means earlier, previously, before, and 帝 means 皇帝. 帝 means emperor, king. So 先帝 means emperor, like previous emperor. So I guess the late emperor, because passed away.
皇太后様が間に入れば問題はないはず。
まおまお、信頼用意できたわよ。
ありがとう。
Oh, Lady Suiren's back. She's back. It's been a while. And I guess she hasn't interacted with her because she serves Jinshi at his quarters, mainly? Is that why?
ありがとうございます。睡蓮様、お部屋を貸していただいて。
いいのよ、気にし。
That was so crazy, too.
趣味だよな。
カウチでもよかったのですが、私が気を使うのよ。こちらの胸は久しぶりよね。
ゆっくり休んでちょうだい。
はい。
Maybe not. This was Mama's former room.
正直今夜は帰らずに。
Ah, yeah. So this is the previous room where she stayed at when she was working for Jinshi before she went back to G Pavilion.
住んで助かった。本ニャン様に会ったらどんな反応をされたやら。むしろ今までが甘かった方だけど。
どこの宮月かはっきりせず、よその宮にも顔
顔を出
を出すにょ
す女官なんて。
Right.
事情頭からすれば好ましいはずがない。
Yeah. Because remember, at the end of the day, like I talked about last week's episode, Hongyang's primary allegiance is to Lady Yukyu. Period. And think about it, as a team leader, who likes having a team member who literally wanders around and works for pretty much everyone based on the order of I almost say the commander, order of the emperor or Master Jinshi, or in this case, empress, right? Sure, Hongyang understands this. I talked about it as well. Mama does not have a choice. At the same time, it's always about the intention versus impact. Intention is extremely important. That is the origin. That is the why behind why we do what we do. But the impact is the landing of the intention. It's how people receive our actions. So I would say intention and impact are extremely equally important. That's what Mama was saying. I understand how Hongyang feels. It must be uncomfortable because the whole point is being a part of the team is to be part of that team, right? But Mama is like impressive jack of all trades freelancer. Freelancer Mama.
私自身、自分の立場がよくわからない時がある。
Come to think of it, I don't even know what my own position is. Oh, Mao Mao. There's so many things you've been denying or just refusing to dig deeper with your great wall of denial. Just like your own position within the Clan or Clan. Just like the position of Jinshi. Just like so many more.
ろうそくで読書なんて。
贅沢だな。ワオワオも何かよ。奥の部屋から探してきていいわよ。本は貴重だ。読める機会に読んでおかないと。
Wow, that's why she's like, wow, reading by the candlelight, how extravagant. That's true. Literacy is rare. Books are expensive. Paper is expensive. Right?
があるといいけど。
But
待てー。
romance?
睡蓮様、結構若い
romance novels and the novella.
気になるの？
ご安心を盗むなどと考えておりません。
わかってるわよ。
子供のおもちゃですか？
ええ、人子様のお気に入りたちよ。マーマンは人子様をどう思う？
What do you think about Master Jinshi? Ooh la la. Because remember, who gave Master Jinshi the green light and blessing to marry or take on Mamao? Emperor himself, baby, with the color blindness episode. Jinshi has a green light. But of course, that means he has to disclose his positioning and the fact that he still has his, PP, which I'm sure will be a whirlwind of a shock for Mamao, given her wall of denial. But I'm interested to see that lady Suiren. She's like, what do you think? Is she trying to be the Cupid?
いい上司だと思います。珍しい薬をくれるでは。
何か含んでない？まあいいわ。
人子様からほっそり隠したになって、そうなると手がつけられないくらい泣いてしまって。
Aww, baby Jinshi.
他にもおもちゃはございますよ。
Xiaoshan.
新しいおもちゃを持ってきては、どうにかしようとガオシュンが苦労して。
Placate him.
どうして取り上げたのですか？
一つのものに執着すると、そればかり見てしまう。
If one focuses on one thing, you lose out on the bigger picture and other things. This is what I meant throughout the series. They get grooms. People who are born to be an emperor or a prince or princess, they are born to be grooms and trained and conditioned to step up to the plate. And there's so many invisible sacrifices. Reminds me of a quote I read recently, right? Everyone wants to achieve greatness without paying the price. To tap into true greatness, there's tremendous, unspeakable amount of sacrifices. Some of the greatest people that I respect, some people out there who've achieved truly great things, they suffer from silence, misery, suffering, and loneliness. Truly, there's trade-off to everything we do. There's trade-off to every single decision. True greatness comes with great sacrifice. That's what is happening here. Jinshi's position, this allows him to be as innocent and as youthful as other children can be. Because he's not just an ordinary children. He's the crown prince. Full stop.
許される立場に生まれた人ではないからよ。もう背伸びして大きくな。
Also, this is as revealing and as explicit and as direct as possible. He was born into a position, a very, very high-ranking, powerful position. You think Mama's going to connect the dots? But she's still going to be like, oh, what is he? Yeah, what is his position? Hold on. I thought he was a eunuch. Wait, I thought he was the emperor's favorite eunuch. And then is she going to be like, oh, never mind, it's none of my business, right? Some things are better left unthinkable. Lady Suiren's literally spilling out for her. Come on, Mama. Speaking of green frogs, right? Patreon folks, you guys are driving me nuts. We talked about that. Like, I guess I came close, but I didn't, right? Since there's still green frog emojis happening. But, like, we're so close. Like, Mama, we're so close.
会ってもらわなくてはいけなかった。それが人子様の母君の願いだったから。
That's what Master Jinshi's mother desired. Is Lady Suiren referring to the true mother, Lady Ado, or the swapped mother, right? The empress.
母君の
Or not the empress.
抑圧された環境で育つと心に影響を受けると聞く。
だんだん見せるようになった子供っぽい部分。
あれも人子様の本質の一つ。
Ah, the childish personality traits that he's showing around me must be a part of his true personality. Exactly right, Mama. Very astute of you. And this is what I said. The palpable closeness, interpersonal closeness, the emotional safety and psychological safety that's been established through all the trials and tribulations, the ups and downs, everything they've endured, everything they've journeyed together. It's bi-directional. Mamao feels safer because of Jinshi, and Jinshi also feels incredibly safe around Mama. That's why he can finally, with those very, very rare times, let down his guard, take off his mask, take off his facade, let his hair down, metaphorically, emotionally, and literally, because he has luscious long hair. That's why Mama can peep and glimpse into Jinshi's true quirky personalities without the facade. And this is what Jinshi was saying in the last episode. When he was in the creator position out of loneliness and helplessness, his urge and desire to share this burden of truth with Mama, his other half. That's why he's yearning and longing for them. Because he's tasted, he's experienced the rare luxury of being his authentic self. That is the power of unconditional love. That is the power of unconditional acceptance. We need those people that make us feel safe, comfortable, but more importantly, that we know we are being accepted unconditionally, despite and irregardless of our achievements, what we do, but for who we are. Mama is that person, that anchor for Jinshi, just like Jinshi is that anchor socio-politically for Mao. What a beautiful dynamic. But again, my question is, Mama, will you get it or not?
それでいて周りからは潤しの看板扱い。おかしな話だ。
What a strange turn of events. Mama, did you just discount everything that Surin just said? Again, she's driving and she could just keep driving forward. Green light. She's like, "Kek!" Just kidding. Speaking of turn of events, she's freaking braking right before the truth. Anyway, obviously this is the writer's intent.
この絵は。
あら、
お
こんなところに捨てろと言われていたのに。
Oh, what was that? Did she see it?
触ってもいいですか？
いいわよ。
What's on that picture? She was told to throw it away. What was that? It was a picture? What's on that picture?
ただの小石よ。一体ど
Oh, I
こ
thought
で
it was
拾って
gold.
きたのかしらね。
すぐに取り上げたのですか？
ええ、拾った石なんて清潔じゃないでしょ。
正解です。
Is that lead? What is that?
毒ですから。
Poison.
こちらが聞きたいです。
Whoa.
なぜこんなものが落ちていたのか。ジンシ様は幼い頃。
Ah. Remember I said it's odd that there's a paintbrush on the floor as soon as Mama entered to that place where the late emperor resided and passed away in the last episode? I guess this poison could be the source of that paint. And we saw some residue there resemble similar color. I wonder if the poison was being used as a paint and it was this environmental poisoning over time that killed the emperor. So again, the question is, did the Empress Dogger also kill the emperor with everything I talked about last episode? Or was the late empress, she was also the victim to the same paint, same poisoning, just like the late emperor? If that's the case, who's the true culprit? Who had the ability and the power and the position and the access to that room? Interesting.
内偵に入ることがありましたか？
ええ、多少は。
Wow. Confirms. The original location and the source of that poison was from that inner palace where the emperor was. Wow.
それがどうしたというの？
今は何も言えません。
一つの仮説がある。程度証拠がない。睡蓮様、明日になれば皇太后様の言う呪い、先帝のご遺体が腐らなかった理由もはっきりします。それまでお待ちいただけますか？
So Mamo is requesting to delay the cleaning to gather more evidence. It's like the crime scene, right? Not the people, law enforcement, forensic team, they put up a crime scene tape so that the crime scene is not tampered with, so the evidence remains intact exactly as it were originally. That's what Mamo's saying. Mamo's so astute. Oh, the whole entourage, baby. The whole gang's here. And Mamo's like, Master Jinshi's here too? Yes, Mamo. I wonder why. Think. Go deeper. Unveil that curtain of ignorance and that denial. Come on.
ジンシ様まで。あまり大げさにしたくなかったんだけど。
I don't want this to a huge deal. Well, the moment you are tasked with the Empress Dogger's request or demands, of course it's a massive deal. Especially, I'm sure Lady Suiren told Jinshi that, hey, this pebble that you found when you were younger, Mamo said it's poisonous. Because I'm sure Lady Suiren tells everything to Jinshi, as she should, because he is the young master. He's the crown prince. So of course this is a big deal. That someone either tried to assassinate Jinshi, probably not, but rather someone tried to assassinate and put a poisonous item in the area, the quarters where the emperor resided, the late emperor resided. Of course it's a massive deal. But of course, Mamo doesn't want to deal with the hassle. She was bowing as a sign of respect.
鼻につく匂い。カビの匂いだけではなさそうだ。
Right there. I think that's the residue of that poison. Similar color, like faded out golds, beige, faded out.
穂先が平たく揃えられた筆。 やはりこれは。
先手は絵を描く趣味があったのでしょうか。
一度
Bingo.
だけ書いていただいたことがあります。ここだけの機密だとおっしゃっていました。みんなに知られたら取り上げられてしまうからと。
He said it was a secret. Was that the late emperor's far cry? Was that his hidden, secret, subtle way of asking for help from Lady Aishin? Maybe he knew what was coming for him. Maybe he knew about the poisonous attempts.
動揺している。ジンス様の癖だ。本人は冷静を装ってるつもりだろうけど。
Interesting. Another telltale sign of intimacy and closeness. Mama has learned Master Jinshi's telltale signs of nervous tick, behavioral signaling, behavioral cues. I talked about that in the caravan episode, right? You can only learn about another person's telltale signs is if you're close, right? That's the only way. That's amazing.
先手については詳しく知らない。
知らないし、知りたいとも思わない。だが呪いの正体を暴くには証拠がいる。先手はずっとこの部屋で絵を描かれていました。
それはわかりませんが、
先手がこの部屋にこもるようになってからは
同じものがついていたはずです。
その方を呼べま。
One servant. And Mamos, can you bring him here? I know they'll probably reveal it, but obviously I just want to share my prediction. Was it someone related to Sui Rei?
ますか。
確かま
Oh,
だ
just
働いて
kidding.
いたと思いますが
The real question is, did the late emperor lock himself and keep himself in there all day? Or did someone tell him to stay inside? On the surface, on the outside, it looks very similar. But again, intention versus impact is very different. I guess we shall see.
触ってもいいですか。
どうぞ。
思ったより硬い。
それに独特な匂いもする。床
床には
には半
半透明
透明の
のかけ
かけら。
ら。
必死に拭き取ろうとしたような汚れもある。そしてその汚れ。
It's like someone furiously trying to clean something. I guess my conjecture is I think the late emperor tried to paint hints and clues for his far cry of help on the floor. And after I'm guessing he was murdered and assassinated, someone tried to scrub it to clean the evidence. Interesting. And I wonder if the late emperor picking up painting as a hobby in itself was also his attempt, his plan to ask for help, far cry for help. Very, very interesting.
壁に近づくほど増えている。
Oh,
柔らかい。分厚い紙を何重にも貼っているが。
and interesting. What's covered
頑
underneath?
丈にするためか、表面に塗料も塗られている。
Open it up.
呪いには大方見当がついていたけど。
Poisoning. Pain's poisoning.
わかりそうだ。
連れてきました。
あなたは
Lady Anshi knew him.
事なきお人の部屋を任されるにはかなり高齢に見えるけど。お聞きしたいことがあるのですが。
Oh, Lady Anshi shakes her head. What does that mean? She shook her head at Mamao saying, I want to ask you a few things. And Lady Anshi's like, you are, ... What does that mean? This eunuch is mute or deaf? I bet he has disabilities that this allows him to speak, to contain the truth, so that nothing comes in and out. Literally and verbally, no information comes in and out. AKA, the late emperor has no one next to him that could relay his far cry for help. And even if this eunuch saw something, such as a late emperor's encrypted or subtle hints requesting for far cry for help, he cannot say anything because he's mute and deaf. That's what I'm guessing. Why Lady Anshi shaking her head.
この人は元奴隷です。また喋れます。
Called it.
わかりました。
Yep.
そういう
Wow,
こ
it's
と
all
か。
schemes.
口が聞けない人を選んで使用人にす
することはままある。常に人の目にさらされるやんごとなき方ならなおさらだ。
で
では、首を振るだけで構いません。
こ
この部屋に絵など
など
はありま
はありませ
せんでしたた
んでしが
が、
何かあったと思いますが、こんなすねな話など聞く耳はないということか。
Hmm?
いや、違う。
He's
何
scared.
かを隠してる。
Yep, he's scared. You see that? The tremors in his hands. Remember, your behaviors don't lie unless you're sociopathic. You can learn pro-social masking and skill sets that way. Because remember, I was formerly a forensic psychotherapist, and I've worked with people with ASPD, antisocial personality disorder, colloquially known as sociopath, before I started my private practice, right? But the point is, ordinary people, it's very hard for them to hide their behavioral cues, which is subconscious. Even if you can control your facial expressions, even if you refuse to talk or attempt to lie, your actions give it away. Let's see what's happening. But it's clear that he's scared and he is hiding something.
壁に何かあるのですか？
Ah, Mamao's smart. Mamao's just straight up using forensic techniques, dude. Mamao's using micro expressions and she's using leading questions to incite and prompt a reaction from this mute eunuch. She knew, one, he cannot talk, so let me ask questions. Two, I asked him a question, but he's refusing to answer. But his behavior cues showed away that he knows something with a tremor of his hands. And three, she followed up with another leading question of what's in the wall. That's a forensic technique because you ask a lot of seemingly unrelated questions back to back, and then you hit him. You hit the subject with a very important question abruptly, so the person that's being questioned does not have the time to process or think or to come up with a response. So it's more organic. It's more reactionary. And that was the third question. What's behind the wall? Eunuch did not expect that because it was such a big leap from what's in this room, did you work here, to straight up what's behind the wall, which is the true intention. And guess what? The eunuch's micro expressions, his pupils diled, his eyes bulged, and Mama was like, yep, got him. And she ran straight to the wall. I'm sure to peel it back. That's a very, very astute forensic technique where a lot of forensic psychologists do, forensic psychotherapists like me who do that, trying to gather important information. Even if the subject is not telling the truth, we can still gather clinical data and evidence from the behavioral cues. Fascinating.
この壁紙、剥いでもいいでしょうか？
Permission grants it.
やめろとでも言わんばかりだな。構わないが、どうせ壊されるのだもの。
それで何かわかるならば。
You see that eunuch literally, he grunts it. And he's mute. So for him to grunt, that means he really would have yelled if he could. This is a major, major uncovery and discovery of a secret. Mama, I hope you're wearing a mask or something, dude. Oh, residues of painting. Here we go. What is that? Interesting. The eunuch, the mute eunuch put his head down. What does that say? He's refusing or unable to look at what's on the wall. Two possibilities. One could be a sign of respect because it's related to the deceased late emperor. Or two, it's so shocking of a discovery that he cannot bear to witness. Because out of everyone here, he has the least protection. In other words, if he sees what he's not supposed to see based on his position or the lower position, they could kill him to bury the secrets. That's why he's looking down. He's refusing to look at what's happening. He's doing that to protect himself. I think that's most likely why. Whoa, that's a great painting.
なんだそれは。
It's Emperor's Dogger.
選定の人間性に興味はない。ただ、国の頂に
だったために、
本当の才能を生かすことなく。 He is so talented. Aww. Okay, I know we're not even halfway and I'm yapping a lot, but there's so much there. I wonder underneath all that great painting, that's clearly his mother, the late emperor's mother, the emperor's daughter. It sounds like they're surrounded by either ladies in waiting or his concubines. Either or. The point is, what if the painting in itself, who is the main subject of that painting? Empress daughter. What if the late emperor is saying that she's the culprit? She's the one that included poison in my painting. Because who knows about his hobby? The eunuch, but he's mute. So who's the only other person who may know about this hobby? Emperor's daughter. Or is something deeper than this?
それだけの力がこの絵にはある。
この女性が着ている衣の色。これは、竜王という石を砕いて作った絵の具だと思います。
That was a clue. This woman is wearing this garment based on the residues of this poison. Who is this woman that's wearing these garments? Empress dog.
竜王は広くと同じ毒性を持っています。そして
Oh, hey, say hi to my first cat, King. First rescue right there by the plant. Hey, King.
物を腐りにくくする作用があります。最初は壁紙か何かに使われた硫黄を知らず知らずのうちに体に取り込んでいたのでは
と考えていました。ですが、この部屋にある筆の形状を見て、違う可能性が出てきました。硫黄を元にした顔料を使っているのです。 幽黄に含まれるヒドカを少しずつ先帝の体に取り込まれていたのでしょう。亡くなられる頃には全身に回っていたはずです。
隠れるようにして絵を描き続けたこの部屋で。帝ともあろうお方が絵を描くなんてとんでもないと。
少なくとも周りはそう捉える。だからバカ殿と呼ばれた先帝でも
公にはしなかった。口の聞けない奴隷の従者に部屋の管理を任せていた。
I guess another possibility that I never consider is this was never a poisonous attempt or assassination, and it's not Emperor's Dogger whatsoever, because that would be pretty dark and sinister for a mom to murder her child, despite how she views him. Maybe he just poisoned himself unintentionally. But the question lies, who crushed that pebble, the poisonous source, to make this paint? Was it truly just ignorance? Someone didn't know? It wasn't truly innocent mistake? Again, or was it intended?
そのためだ。まだ弾力がある。この下に一体何
How many layers? Let's go.
これほど多くの絵となると、道具を用意したのはおそらく。
先帝の母である女帝。この絵の女性は分かっていたのだ。自分の子が帝にふさわしい器ではないことを。
だから偶然帝の地位を手に入れた悪を守ろうと自分のもとに権力を集めた。たとえ女帝と呼ばれるようになったとしても。このために何でもした女帝が最後に与えたのが
Mother's
この場
loss.
所と絵を描く道具だった。毒だとは知らずに。
なんという皮肉だろう。
If that is the case, then I was 100%, 120% dead wrong. Rather, she was an amazing, amazing mother who created this safe space for the late emperor to entertain and indulge in his passion, his hobby, his interest. If that's the case, I'm so sorry. The Empress Dogger, I really misjudged you. And I also want to apologize to a woman for speaking on conjecture. If that is the case, we shall see.
私が
So
言える
good.
のはここまでです。
十分な働きでした。
Hold on. She said, the current Empress Dogger, she said, yes, you did it well. But did you see that? There was no surprise to her eyes. Her eyes didn't flinch. She's unfazed. As if she already knew this? Why is she unsurprised? Was she the one? Was she the one that poisoned the late emperor? Did she know this? Or is she just really calm and learned to master her emotions as the Empress Dogger? Okay, guys, I know that's a lot of conjectures, but oh my gosh. Do you see her face, though? Again, behavior cues. Why was she so calm? Wouldn't you be surprised with this massive of a discovery? What is going on? Maybe she's just reminiscent. And she's in peace?
早急の彼方にいる誰かに問いかけているみたいだ。
Maybe this is her closure.
感傷的になってるな。
Mission accomplished. Honestly, Mao could be the main... Mao could replace Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible franchise. How many Mission Impossible did Mao conquer since the series has begun, huh? A lot. Also, sorry, let me just check where my kitties are at. Okay, they're just hanging out. All her...
腹が立つ。
かすれていてもな。
あの方の存在感は大きいのね。私はこの絵の中にいるのかしら。所詮私など通り過ぎるだけの存在。
こ
ここにある傷跡のおかげで
国
国母としての今があるに過ぎない。偶然先帝の手にかかり、
身ごもった幼い娘。
A young girl who fell victim to the late emperor. Oh, Lady Anxi was raped? I guess rape was not a concept in the historical context because ladies in waiting, people like her are just objects, possessions. And the emperor has the legal rights to possess any girls, any woman he wants. That was just the context at the time. But the point is, based on the modern views, of course, this was a rape. Damn.
そう同情する声もあった。確かにそんな娘はいただろう。
しかし、帝の性癖のことをあらかじめ知っていた。父は文官で、母は側室。
そ
そして幼い顔の割には所長が来るのが早かった私を。
Oh, wow, this is so dark. Lady Anshi was older than the typical pedophilia age that the late emperor likes. And again, like I said, I talked about either he really is a true pedophile or he's developmentally and intellectually stunts, that he never really grew past the stage of development, as I shared earlier. But either way, right, what he did was not excusable. I was just viewing through like the clinical perspective. But the point is, the dark truth here is Lady Anshi's dad used his own daughter because she looked young to gain political advantage and gain closeness with the late emperor, the ruler of the sky. What a shit that, bro. And I get it, he was not alone. This was just the norm at the time. The effed up historical and political context, the social context, the brokenness at the time. I understand. But still, what a shit that.
後宮には19妃の次女として入った。妃は腹違いの姉。蝶よ花よと育てられた姉は、父の思惑など知る由もなかった。
ねえ、アンシ、早く飾りをつけてちょうだい。はい、お姉様。
Wow, and this is a similar context as Lady Xin and Lady Li Hua. Although they are cousins, for them, Lady Anxi was a sister to her half-sister as a lady in waiting. Similar context.
ついに今夜味方がいらっしゃるのね。この前遠目にお見かけしたけど、とても美しい方だったの。そうですか。お待ちしておりました。
Oh, shit, dude. And also, dude, can we talk about how the late emperor, when he was young, looks like Master Jinshi? Oh, wait. What am I saying? I forgot that Master Jinshi is the son of the late emperor. I'm dead, yo. And his brother is the current emperor. Okay, never mind. But that makes sense. They literally look almost identical. Yes. My brain lapsed. Also, another thing, it's fascinating. I'm doing a lot of behavioral analysis. So you can see that the late emperor at this time, he's sweating. You see that sweat drop? And he is unable to make eye contact with the older of age concubine. People with pedophilia, they're not adverse to normal age people, guys or girls. It's rather they're just not attracted, sexually attracted. But there's no adversarial reaction. It's not that they're unable to make eye contact. If anything, his inability and his struggle to make eye contact, because he's clearly stressed or even scared to look her in the eyes. Again, I need more data. But based on my wild, baseless conjecture, is that I feel like anytime the late emperor looked at woman of age reminded him of his own mother, the Empress Dowager. Two massive possibilities. Of course, I could be dead wrong. Possibility number one, the Empress Dowager, she abused the late emperor, or even the most effed up possibility, she sexually abused him. And because of the trauma, and it does happen, right? As god-awful and as traumatic that sounds and is, it does happen, unfortunately. If the mother abused the late emperor, of course he will grow sexual and physical adversarial reaction towards anyone that's of age that resembles his mother. What does that translate to? He can only feel attracted to and he only feels safe and comfortable with younger girls who is of no threat and who no longer represents his mother. That's my conjecture. I know that is a massive leap. But, I mean, look at his face. Look at the post-screen. The late emperor is in physical discomfort and he's sweating. It's not just a lack of attraction. He's scared of something. He's stressed. This could even be a trauma response. Again, none of this is to, right, obviously condone his pedophilia. Of course not. But do you guys understand what I'm saying? I'm trying to understand the why. Is it truly just a simple genetic disorder of pedophilia? Or is it something more? Is it trauma indeed? Right there. Right there. Don't touch me. Again, who touched him? Who touched late emperor? Even sexually. It might be his mother. It was this twisted, really, really effed up, twisted, possessive love. Ooh, that's my conjecture. Okay, guys, let's see. This trauma response.
その姿はとても国の頂点に立つ者には思えなかった。次女ならば奇跡に慰めるか。
Sorry guys, this is why I don't usually open my studio, but quick pause. Also I need to rewind. Hey King. This is our first rescue, King Sama. Say hi to the folks. Yeah, I know. Alright, sorry for the pause, or I guess not pause, keep going, but okay. But yeah, so just to come back to where we're at, obviously we just saw the late emperor having an actual physical trauma response. That is a common response and common trauma response of a victim of a sexual abuse. So, oh shit, dude.
帝に比例を浴びるかすればよかったのだ。
けれど、
大丈夫でしょうか。帝の目は確かにこちらを捉えた。野心に満ちた少女の目を。
The eyes of a girl full of ambition. Wow, Lady Anshi. Wow. But also, again, the key point is when you feel unsafe, when you just had this involuntary physical trauma response due to sexual abuse, well, suspected sexual abuse, only person that could bring you comfort is someone that you can intellectually register as harmless, completely free of danger or threat, which is someone smaller than you are physically. In this case, Lady Ainshi, a little girl. I think this, again, not fully confirmed, but definitely helps substantiate my conjecture that a significant part of late Emperor's pedophilia is because he only feels safe around little girls who he knows poses no physical threat or danger and who do not have the ability to abuse him sexually. I really think he was abused sexually by his mother. Holy shit, dude. What the heck? Yeah, a lot of things to process if that is the case. Of course, I could be wrong. But so far, based on the behavioral cues, behavior analysis, his trauma response, it's clear that he definitely experienced sexual abuse. I just don't know if that's from his mother or someone else.
私は先帝の子を宿し、何度も命の危険にさらされた。幸運だったのは、子が男子で、女帝が孫であると認めてくれた。
And she was pregnant with a boy, and her life was endangered countless times. What does that say, right? Again, Rural Palace is a cruel political arena. Because the moment you bear a child and the child is born, your status skyrockets exponentially. So many other higher rank concubines will stop you from doing that. That's what's been happening with Lady Gyokyu and even Lady Lihua.
どうだろう。よしよし。はいはい。
以前女児を産んだ娘がいた。娘は先帝の子だと言い張ったが、先帝に知らぬと否定され、その父親とされた医官が女児と共に追放された。当時医官だけは皇宮内で虚勢を免れていたが、命の危険にさらされた。幸運だったのは、子が男子で女帝が孫であると認めてくれたことだろう。よしよし。はいはい。
Wait, this lady in waiting, the one that's holding this boy, isn't she the current head lady in waiting for Lady Ainshi? That makes sense. She's been with Lady Ainshi since she was young. Okay, that makes sense.
以前女児を産んだ娘がいた。娘は先帝の子だと言い張ったが、先帝に知らぬと否定され、その父親とされた医官が女児と共に追放された。当時医官だけは皇宮内で虚勢を免れていたから。それ以来、医官も虚勢を受け
I see. Okay, I see.
腹の手術をしたものも不憫なことこの上。
Lawman!
女児を産んだという娘は一人皇宮に残された。彼女が皇宮を出ることは一生ないだろう。それからさらに時が経ち。
Sorry, guys. Yeah, I'm glad King and Dutch graced us and you guys finally get to meet my feline overlords. but I'm gonna have to keep the studio closed because the show requires all my undivided attention and brain cells, and it's a little bit distracting for me. So we'll see. I'll open it once in a while, but
少女の外見で亡くなった私に選定は会いに来ようとはしなかった。
again, because it's activating and triggering of the sexual abuse, the danger, everything I talked about. So that makes sense through that clinical perspective, if that were the case. Again, I don't know for sure yet.
また高級が拡張するそうね。
はい、師匠様が進言なさったとか。高級はどんどん大きくなる。
私と同じ使命を帯びた幼い娘たち。女帝の傀儡としてのみ存在し、幼い娘にしかまとうに話しかけられない。情けない男。
Well, no eye contact. I don't mean like she caused this, but it's she can't let go. Because remember the context. Again, there's no judgment, right? But the context is that's been revealed and confirmed by Lady Anshi herself. She tactfully and politically approached the late emperor during his crisis of a physical trauma response. She approached him tactfully in that moment to bring comfort and soothing, and she literally seized the opportunity when her older sister was slapped on the ground when the emperor was panicking because he was in a full crisis mode, and she conceived the child. That's how she rose to rank. So her tactic was successful, but obviously she wanted more. She wanted the attention. She wanted the continuous grace and visitation by the late emperor. But as we talked about, he suspectively has pedophilia because of his sexual trauma and his abuse and his trauma response. So he's no longer showed interest towards Lady Aishi. And of course, that doesn't feel good. We all want attention, especially from your husbands or the ruler of this kingdom. Whether it's a puppet or not, that's not the point, right? And imagine her seeing the late emperor who no longer even looks at her. But of course, she didn't have the clinical perspective that I do now. But for her as a woman to see the former husbands, whatever, looking at and flirting with other little girls, just like who she was, of course that's jealousy. Of course that's envy. Of course that's rage. Of course that's resentment. Now it makes sense.
許せなかった。
That's the same look that we saw in Master Jinshi's flashback. I guess the question is, of course Lady Anshi has a right to feel that way? But do you guys see what I'm saying? Like, it was partially self-inflicted because she only gained the favor of the late emperor because she sees the opportunity. She utilized and she leveraged late emperor's vulnerability during that physical trauma response. So she only got in by being a capitalist, to be fair. That's what she was. And now she is struggling with this bitterness and anger and rage and jealousy. Yes, she has the right to feel that way, but I feel a little bit torn. This is very complicated. I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense. My brain's kind of scrambled. This is a lot of information.
私が怖いですか？私が大人の女、それとも。
And also, this is a classic example of projection and displacement, right? Definition right here. I shared this before too, right? Lady Anshi is projecting her insecurity, her feeling of unworthiness, her feeling that she's not lovable because she's an adult woman and a scar on her belly. Those are her insecurities. That's how she feels, 100%. At the same time, based on my analysis and clinical perspective and behavior analysis, it's not about Lady Anshi whatsoever. We call that personalization. Definition right here. Personalization is one of the unhelpful way of thinking, one of the cognitive distortions where we personalize things that's not about us. Again, we personalize certain things that is not directly related to us, but because of our insecurities and how we feel, we make it about us. She's personalizing. The late emperor is not just anti-Lady Anshi. I bet he doesn't visit any other adult woman, not just her. But because of Lady Anshi's insecurities, and I don't want to say entitlement, but she feels like she's entitled to the emperor, whether regardless of his interest or not, simply because she buried his child. And now she is emperor's daughter, or she became the mother to the future crown prince. So the status change and all that stuff. That's what she's asking. Are you scared of me because I'm an adult woman because of my scar? But we know that's not the case. This is not about Lady Anshi whatsoever, but rather who hurts the late emperor and who gave him that sexual abuse and who inflicted that or who caused that physical trauma response? That's a real question.
この腹の傷が
It's not the scar.
レアの中許しを請うて怯える男をいたぶった。男に手をかけられた幼い娘たち。偉大な母である女帝よりも深く思い出につなぎ止めるため。その後戦
What did she tell him? And of course, with everything I said, I just want to make it super clear, right? Lady Anshi, at the end of the day, still fell victim to the emperor, 100%. Because he's a grown-ass man, regardless of his own trauma, whatever, right? None of that negates and discounts what he did. He still raped Lady Anshi because she is an underage girl. She's a little girl. So regardless, she still fell victim to late emperor, 100%. What I'm highlighting is the cause behind his actions. Why are we here? Why did the things happen the way they did? I just want to make that crystal clear, right?
心を壊してあの胸に引きこもった。
Wow.
誰のせいかなんて追求する気も起きない。あの男はこの部屋で女帝である母と野心のない娘たちばかりを
Thinking only about his mother, the empress, and the other girls who had no ambitions. You see, Lady Anshi is projecting and displacing again. She feels that the late emperor didn't like her because of the belly scar. She's an adult woman and her ambitions. Remember earlier she said that his eyes laid upon the eyes of a girl with ambitions, right? She's again projecting once again. I don't think this has anything to do with ambitions, right? Why would the late emperor care? I don't think he would. Maybe he does. I don't know. But again, the fact that for the late emperor to draw his mother, the emperor's dowager, that also contradicts my analysis that she was the one that sexually abused the emperor. And again, I could also be projecting, to be fair, because I recently am working with quite a few of really complicated sexual abuse cases with some of my clients. So maybe I'm also projecting to my clinical stuff, right? So I take full ownership of that. That's why I could 100%, 120% be wrong. But just based on the behavior cues and his adversary reaction, especially when he was touched by a female, that was very suggesting to me. But we shall see. So many things happen.
一度だけ私を描いてくれた。その絵。
とても大事にしていたけれど、水霊に捨てるように。
Oh, that's the drawing that Lady Suiren hid or took from Mama. I see.
私には必要ない。私が先帝にとって必要ないように。
Also, hold on. It just hit me. You know that girl that Lady Anshi talked about? Another girl claims she was pregnant with the child of the late emperor, but the late emperor denied it. And a physician claims, and she was banished from the royal emperor. Who is the one family person from Mama that people been speculating that was Mama's maternal grandmother, right? Pin grandma. That was never confirmed. But remember we talked about courtesans cannot disclose their pregnancy because it would devalue them, etc., etc. The only other woman that could match up with this timeline, the age, time differences, that is of relevance with this show is Pim Grandma and Mao Mao's mother. Was Pim Grandma, would the timeline match up or no? Yeah, maybe the timeline doesn't match up. But yeah, again, this is a big leap for me, right? But based on the timeline, the only person I can think about is Pim Grandma. Maybe she was the one that was impregnated by the late emperor. She was banished and she gave birth to Mao Mao's mom. That's why father was never mentioned and Pim Grandma raised them by herself, and why she has such a adversary reaction against Lacan when Pim Grandma mistakenly thought Lacan just simply abandoned her daughter, Mao Mao's mother, because maybe of Pim Grandma's own experience. I know I'm making a lot of conjectures here, right? So, but that's where my brain went. Anyway, information overload. My goodness, dude.
昔、あの方が私たちの元へ来たことがありましたね。
ええ。何年前だったかしら。
あの時、こんなものを拾いました。これが有王なのだそうです。
この石は
今朝、水蓮がようやく返してくれました。
そう。 不義のこと言われようと。違えられた子であろうと、大切な子に違いないのに。
Yes.
一度私はあの絵を見たことがある気がします。年若い娘の絵で淡く色付けされて
Oh,
いまし
Lady
た。
Anshi.
この石を拾ったのはその絵を覚えていたからでしょ
Okay.
捨てろと言ったはずなのに。
う。昔あなたは好んでこの色を着ていらっしゃいましたね。
Whoa, yeah, man. It's crazy. Like father, like son.
たまかまよ。
あの絵の女性は本当に
Goosebumps. This will make sense. Is she really the Empress? What if that's Lady Aishi? And if that painting is not Empress, that means the Empress did sexually abuse the late Emperor. Okay, I said it. That's my final conjecture. That will make sense. That was the only contradiction in my analysis and my prediction. That will make sense. Holy crap, dude. I guess time will tell. My goodness, dude.
あの時あの方は何を伝えようとしたんでしょう。
What did he try to tell us back then? I'm telling you guys, dude. Yeah, I think she sexually abused her own son, the late emperor. What a twisted, possessive love. What an effed up family trauma history. Holy moly. Guacamole. My goodness, dude.
知ろうとしないことを選んだ。それよりもあなた
That is Lady Anshi's garb. I mean, look at the color. That is the same color. And I don't think I remember seeing the late Empress doll girl wearing that color. I think that painting is about Lady Anshi, dude.
ずいぶん面白い旅館に目をかけているようですね。
Aha, she knows.
そうね。でも、それが全てではないことくらいわか
Yes,
る。
so clear.
何年も見てきたのだから。
お気に入りは隠しておかないと。誰かに隠されてしまうわよ。
You should hide your favorites, aka Mao Mao, or someone else will hide that or take Mao Mao away from you. Because as soon as Crown Prince Jinshi displays any interest to anyone of importance, his enemies will take that away from him. That will, in other words, that will put Mao Mao's life in danger. I think Jinshi knows that too. And again, that is a loneliness. Jinshi knows he cannot get too close with anyone or anything because of the public scrutiny and all those assassinations and conspiracies. I thought freaking the puzzle, the color blindness episode was peak. This is also peak. Just enough said. Just, yeah. Standing ovation. Thank you guys for tuning in. What a freaking master episode and show. What a peak. Thank you guys. That was a blast. I hope we'll see how my conjectures go and we'll see what you guys think about my wild conjectures. Anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in. Remember, you're worthy. You matter. As always, see you again next week. Peace.